Oh man, that's what I'm finna do, huh? I'm finna get out. I ain't really trying to argue at all. I'm just trying to get out.
No, you want to go tell your family about this and about that. You want to do this.
I'm trying to leave from over here, man. I ain't trying to argue at all.
Ain't nobody. I'm gonna take my car key off.
Got my key.
Stop.
The woman that you are seeing in this Facebook Live is Khadijah Michelle Brown, raging after accusing her husband of cheating on her with not just women, but men too. As the live stream continued, you can see the 28-year-old Jeremy Brown trying to pack his bag and just leave without another argument.
No, what's the conversation?
What's
the conversation?
Keep your hands on.
What's the conversation?
Keep your hands on. Don't touch me, bro.
What's the conversation?
Move, bro. I'm trying to get ready for work, man. Go.
How you getting ready for work?
But his angry wife would not let her, continuing to provoke him after he did not apologize. Just moments later, the screen would turn black, and what would come was a chilling sound that would shift everything to a dark turn.
Ain't nobody finna come over here and see me anything.
Get your hands on me, bro. Stop touching me. Move.
Please to stop.
Single sound of gunshot echoed that was then followed by screams. By the time officers arrived at the apartment in Columbus, Mississippi, Jeremy was gone, shot in the back with their children just steps away. But what police would uncover next, inside that apartment, and from the footage she streamed, would spark national outrage and raise disturbing questions about anger, control, and the consequences of broadcasting violence online. This is the life and death of Jeremy Brown. And as shocking as it is, it's not the first time we've seen something like this unfold on Facebook Live. Do you remember Ranita Williams? The young mother from Louisiana who was forced to live stream her final moments before being gunned down by her abusive ex?
I want to be famous. I'm going to make them famous.
No.
I want to be famous. I'm going to make you famous. I do.
Yes.
I'm telling you I can't on these bitches level.
No.
If you haven't seen that case, I'll leave the link at the end of this video.
Man, you think I'm worried about the police right now? Huh? You think I'm worried about the police right now?
No.
Tell you, I don't give a about no police, you heard?
It's a hauntingly similar story. Jeremy Brown was born on October 18, 1994, in Columbus, Mississippi, to a close-knit Southern family. He was the second of 4 siblings and grew up surrounded by a culture of mutual respect, strong family ties, and a tradition of hard work. Jeremy's parents instilled in him the value of humility and service from a young age. Though he was quiet by nature, his strength of character came through in the way he cared for those around him, always helping out at family gatherings, looking after his younger siblings, and stepping up without needing to be asked. He attended Columbus High School, where he was known not for popularity, but for consistency. Teachers remembered him as someone who did his best quietly, stayed out of trouble, and always showed respect. He didn't chase attention, but he earned admiration for his steady presence and kind demeanor. While many teens chased distractions, Jeremy stayed focused, more mature than most of his peers, and grounded in his goals. After graduation, Jeremy entered the workforce immediately, taking on physically demanding jobs in construction, delivery, and manual labor. He worked long hours, often juggling multiple gigs to keep bills paid and food on the table. Everything about his life, up to that point, spoke of steady progress and sincere effort. He was building towards something quietly, diligently, with that same patient resolve that had always defined him. Then came the moment that would shift everything. Meeting Khadijah Michelle Brown felt like a turning point. At first, their connection was magnetic, young love fueled by ambition and shared dreams. Khadijah brought energy and unpredictability into Jeremy's grounded world, and he, in turn, offered her stability.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Natural, beautiful, beautiful. Let me tell y'all something that y'all don't know.
Their early days together were filled with plans for a future, promises whispered in the dark, and a belief that together, they could build something lasting. Jeremy, ever the quiet optimist, leaned in. He believed in family. He believed in her. As their relationship deepened, so did their responsibilities. Soon, the couple welcomed their first child. Parenthood didn't slow Jeremy down. It intensified his commitment. He stepped fully into fatherhood with the same dedication he brought to every other part of his life. Over time, the couple had 4 children together. Jeremy was hands-on from the start, helping with feedings, walking sleepy toddlers through midnight fevers, making school lunches, and cheering from the sidelines at school events. He became the kind of father his own had modeled, present, protective, and proud. But as the family grew, so did the pressure. The same intensity that once made their love feel electric began to show itself in arguments, in accusations, in moments of silence that grew longer with time. Financial burdens mounted, and emotional wounds that had once felt small began to widen. Khadija's moods shifted more often, her reactions grew sharper, and soon, what had started as passion turned into volatility. Through it all, Jeremy held on, determined to keep the family whole, even as the foundation beneath them began to crack. As the relationship grew more turbulent, Jeremy internalized much of the conflict. Friends and family say he rarely complained. He tried to be the calm in the storm, hoping things would get better. What few realized at the time was that his devotion, his refusal to abandon his role, was placing him in an increasingly dangerous situation. He was a man trying to preserve peace in a home where it was slipping further from reach. Eventually, subtle signs began to surface, hinting that the once promising bond between them was quietly beginning to unravel behind closed doors. Khadija, once content with private confrontations, started voicing her frustrations online. She posted about their fights, aired grievances, and made pointed accusations. Jeremy, by contrast, remained silent. He didn't fight back digitally. He didn't shame her. He just kept trying, buying groceries, staying present, doing everything he could to hold the family together. But what no one realized was that the quiet patience he was known for would soon carry him straight into the eye of a storm he couldn't walk away from. At first, the tension appeared mild to outsiders. A few arguments, a couple of slammed doors, the occasional loud night. But the undercurrent was growing stronger. Jeremy's friends noticed he spoke less about home. He looked more tired at work, sometimes pausing mid-sentence as if lost in thoughts he couldn't quite say aloud. The cracks deepened when Khadija began using Facebook to express her frustrations, airing out personal grievances with passive-aggressive posts and sometimes direct accusations aimed at Jeremy. In the days leading up to the shooting, her posts grew increasingly volatile. She claimed Jeremy was cheating, not just with another woman, but accused him publicly of being involved with a male coworker. The implications were designed to shame, to humiliate, and to provoke a reaction. She also called him out for being absent, accused him of infidelity, hinted that he was failing as a partner. These weren't just private arguments, they became public theater. People watched as their relationship unraveled in real time, one status update at a time. Jeremy, ever patient, stayed quiet online. He didn't post rebuttals. He didn't engage. Instead, he tried harder at home, bought groceries, helped with homework, kept the kids out of the crossfire. But the pressure didn't ease. Khadija's accusations became louder, her emotions more volatile. Family members began to worry. There were rumors of her tracking Jeremy's movements, going through his phone, and showing up at his job unannounced. Jeremy was caught between being a father, a provider, and someone desperately trying to escape a cycle he never asked for. Then, on the morning of March 25, 2023, in a final escalation that no one could have predicted, she went live on Facebook. With emotions simmering just below the surface, Khadija did what she had done before, but this time, the consequences would be irreversible. Khadija opened Facebook and went live. This wasn't the first time. She had a history of broadcasting arguments or emotional tirades online, but no one expected this one to end the way it did. Dozens of people tuned in, expecting another heated exchange, not realizing they were about to witness a man's final moments. Jeremy's voice could be heard in the background, calm but weary, pleading not to argue. He gathered his belongings while he was talking to someone in the phone and repeatedly asked for Khadija to leave him alone. But instead of backing off, Khadija kept trying to snatch his phone, provoking Jeremy.
Getting his stuff. Look at that. Sad case. As a father.
Okay, Jeremy, what is the conversation you want to have?
We good.
Yeah. And your baby in the room.
Conversation you want to have?
We good. Give me my phone, bro. Don't shut
What is the conversation you want to have?
What the conversation?
Get out my
He said,
phone.
what's the
Don't touch
conversation?
me. Don't touch me. I call the police over here. Do not touch me.
He said, what's the conversation y'all want to have?
The altercation continued for a little bit more, with Khadijah constantly nudging about what the phone call Jeremy was having, insinuating of another infidelity that her husband was having.
Ain't nobody been come over here and do nothing.
Get your hands off me, bro. Stop touching me. Move.
Need to stop.
Send it on me, Jay.
Ain't nobody coming over here.
Help me, bro.
Then came the sound that no one watching would ever forget. A single, sharp gunshot erupted off camera.
Hands on me, bro. Stop touching me, bro.
Stop.
Stop touching me.
I'm gonna get you. Murder scene,
Stop
murder.
touching me again.
Stop.
Let go. Touch me. Touch me again.
Ain't nobody get the win. Sit down. Y'all gonna have to start. Stop out here. Then y'all wonder why the kids.
What came next were screams, raw, immediate, and chilling. Khadijah's voice cracked with panic as she shouted, the horror of what she'd just done crashing down. Her voice, high-pitched with panic and disbelief, rang through the livestream. Then came a horrifying moment. Amid the screams, Khadijah's voice broke through as she cried out that she didn't want to go to jail. Her words were frantic, disoriented, and chilling. The live stream caught her spiral into panic before abruptly cutting off, leaving viewers in stunned silence. Her words were piercing, final, and devastating. At one point, Khadijah was heard yelling to one of the children, telling them their daddy was dead. Seconds later, the live stream abruptly ended, leaving behind only silence and a chilling void for the thousands who had just witnessed something they would never forget. For the stunned viewers, it took a few moments to process what they had just seen. Some thought it had to be a sick joke, but reality soon sank in. They had just witnessed a murder live on Facebook, and soon enough, the viewers sprang into action. Police were notified within minutes. Calls flooded into the Lowndes County Sheriff's Department as viewers dialed 911, stunned and fearful. Deputies arrived at the Green Tree Apartments at 7:42 a.m. First responders arrived at the Green Tree Apartments just minutes after the shot was fired. What they found was every officer's nightmare. Jeremy Brown lay on the living room floor, unresponsive, a single gunshot wound in his back. The children, shocked, silent, some crying, were gathered near him. Khadijah, still inside the apartment, was taken into custody without resistance. The 9mm handgun she used was recovered quickly, still warm, lying not far from where Jeremy had fallen. But what investigators discovered next would change everything. Khadijah was apprehended on the scene. Officers recovered a 9mm handgun, later confirmed as the murder weapon. Investigators ruled out self-defense quickly. Jeremy was unarmed, his back was to her, and he was trying to exit while she escalated verbally. The evidence was clear. Jurors would later hear that the entire sequence, captured online, matched the coroner's findings. The bullet pierced his vital organs, and death occurred almost instantly. Meanwhile, across town, Jeremy's family received the call that no parent ever wants to answer. The county reeled. This was not just another homicide. This was a domestic killing unfolding live online, with children present and a community left watching in real time. Jeremy had been a steady presence in his children's lives, a pillar of calm and care. He was never a figure known for anger or menace. He valued peace in his voice, in his husbanding, in his fatherhood. But justice would not come easily, and the battle was far from over. Media outlets quickly followed the case. Images of a calm, gentle father in a patterned shirt circulated widely, tool belts in the driveway, children's backpacks, a fridge full of leftovers. But the violent end had been viewed through dozens of screens, etched into timelines, across phones, and embedded in the minds of those who watched live. Now remember, this wasn't just a crime caught on tape. This was the father of four gunned down in the presence of his children. And it would soon become a case that challenged the very role of social media in domestic violence. Back to Khadijah. Once at the station, Khadijah didn't attempt to deny the shooting. She admitted to grabbing the gun during the argument, but her explanation immediately fell apart. Investigators found no signs of a struggle. Jeremy had no weapon, and forensic evidence, along with the live stream, showed that he had been trying to leave when he was shot, his back turned, hands occupied, defenseless. Authorities ruled out self-defense. They called it what it was, an intentional act. By the end of the day, 28-year-old Khadijah Michelle Brown was charged with murder. The Lowndes County Sheriff's Office confirmed the fatal shooting stemmed from a domestic argument. Sheriff Eddie Hawkins called it a senseless and tragic act backed by clear evidence. Khadijah was booked into the county jail and held without bond.
For the first time from the mother of a man killed by his wife on Facebook Live.
That crime happened in Columbus, and it is also there where we found out this afternoon the wife's punishment for that crime.
When she made her first court appearance, the room was tense and silent. Khadijah walked in wearing a standard jail jumpsuit, her face expressionless, her posture stiff. The fiery woman once known for shouting into live streams now appeared subdued, confronting the magnitude of what she'd done. She stood charged with first-degree murder, a calculated, intentional act. Her defense team focused on emotional distress. They painted a picture of a woman overwhelmed, cornered by years of tension, acting in a moment of panic. But prosecutors pointed to the evidence. Jeremy was walking away. He wasn't threatening her. He wasn't armed. They emphasized the deliberateness of her actions, grabbing a gun, turning on the live stream, pulling the trigger. Her choices, they argued, were conscious. And they were fatal. After a series of hearings and delays, the pressure mounted. Public scrutiny intensified. The prosecution's case remained solid. Eventually, Khadijah Brown entered a guilty plea to second-degree murder. The plea deal removed the possibility of a life sentence, but the consequences were still severe. The judge sentenced her to 40 years in prison with no possibility of parole for the first 25 years. The courtroom remained quiet as the sentence was read. Khadijah didn't react. She simply nodded, absorbing the weight of her fate. The public had mixed reactions. Some felt justice was served. Others believed the sentence wasn't enough. What no one could deny was the emotional toll. A man had died not in a random act of violence, but in his own home, live in front of the world. In the days that followed, attention turned to Jeremy. His loved ones gathered to mourn. Vigils were held. Memories were shared. His funeral was held in Columbus, Mississippi, in a church overflowing with people. Friends, family, co-workers, everyone who had been touched by Jeremy's life came to pay their respects. Photos from every stage of his life played across the walls. His casket remained closed. Jeremy's death left a deep wound. He had been a steady presence, a committed father, someone who avoided conflict and believed in walking away. But even that wasn't enough to save him. His attempt to de-escalate had cost him his life. After the sentencing, the story of Jeremy Brown quietly shifted from headlines to heartbreak. With Khadijah Brown behind bars, the focus turned to the aftermath, the children left behind, the community still in shock, and a family struggling to move forward from an event that had shattered them in real time. Jeremy's 4 children, all of whom were present in the apartment that morning, were placed in the care of close relatives. Family members stepped in immediately to provide structure, counseling, and stability. But the trauma remained etched into their memories, wrapped around the final moments of their father's life, which they had not just lived through, but which the world had also witnessed. For the community of Columbus, Mississippi, the case left a lasting scar. Domestic violence wasn't a new issue, but this incident brought it into full public view. It played out not just in the privacy of a home, but across the screens of those who tuned into the live stream, unaware they were about to witness something irreversible. The visual nature of the crime and the presence of children forced new conversations around intervention, social media responsibility, and silent suffering inside families. In the weeks that followed, local organizations responded with renewed urgency. Awareness campaigns were launched. Community centers hosted discussions on domestic conflict and early warning signs. What happened to Jeremy wasn't just mourned, it became a call to action for those who saw themselves or their loved ones in similar situations. Back at the Lowndes County Jail, Khadijah began serving her 40-year sentence. The conditions of her plea meant she would not be eligible for parole for at least 25 years. Her once public persona had all but disappeared. Court documents confirmed her participation in required prison counseling, but there were no further updates on her mental state or any future attempts at appeal. Meanwhile, Jeremy's legacy quietly took root through the people who had known and loved him. Coworkers remembered his work ethic. Neighbors recalled his calm presence. Friends shared memories of late-night talks, backyard barbecues, and a father who showed up for his children without fail, even on his most exhausted days. Jeremy's funeral was solemn and deeply emotional. Held at a local church, it brought together everyone whose lives he had touched. The ceremony was filled with photos of the quiet, steady man who had spent his life building for others. His casket remained closed, a final reminder of the violence that ended a life rooted in patience and peace.
I feel justice has been served. I'm very happy and just glad it's all over.
Though Jeremy's life was taken far too soon, his story remains a powerful reminder of the dangers that can exist behind closed doors, even in families that seem whole from the outside.